My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome back to Transport Fever 2 and to episode number 8 of our US themed large map series on the newly released, well, still recently released, Deluxe DLC edition. This here is the city of Knoxville, which has grown quite nicely. And after we started supplying the food and the machinery, which was handled in the last episode, into the city of Knoxville, they've now expanded their cargo demands to a further 2 units of cargo, those being fuel and goods, I believe it was. We'll obviously verify that when we bring up the UI in a few moments. And to encourage Knoxville to grow even further, I think it's time to start supplying some of those goods, and I'm going to focus on the fuel, and this will be another long haul cargo setup that we're going to be working on today, because the nearest fuel refinery is quite some distance away. We are going to be able to make use of our current network for some of it, but there will be a lot of new building involved in getting this new line set up and getting Knoxville supplied as best we can. So here's the UI now on screen, just under, well, just ticked over into 85 million for the bank account. And if we look at Knoxville, they require 25 units of fuel to encourage more and more growth. So the nearest fuel refinery, or the one that I decided to tap into in order to supply Knoxville, is all the way down here on the coast of the river here, Bellevue Fuel Refinery. We do have a oil refinery here just by Fort Lauderdale, and if we head over towards Chandler, this is where we can see a wide selection of oil wells around here. So the current plan as it stands is to tap into one of these oil wells in this area. We would bring the line and share and connect into this stone line that we have right here running to the quarry. But then we'd break away and we'd head down this side of the river, and we'd pass this farm. We would snake our way through this little canyon area, well, canyon stylish area here, come into the oil refinery, drop off the crude, pick up the refined, head back through the snake pass before breaking off to the left, heading into the Bellevue Fuel Refinery. And then what we would do, we'd pass through the fuel refinery, obviously making sure we unload the refined oil and pick up the fuel that they are producing, bridge over this river, and then we tap into our existing lines here. So a lot of this would be shared. We would come up this way where the stone trains run from the Chandler quarry, bypass the station, temporarily connect into our passenger lines on this bit here, and then somewhere in this area here we would break away for the final time, head into Knoxville, obviously looking to get into one of these cargo platforms right here. So that's my overall plan. It is subject to change depending on how things go, and we might not get it all finished in this episode, but we should get a decent way towards achieving our goal. So let's arbitrarily pick this oil well, shall we, to supply all of that. So we want a cargo station here, and we are in a position now where we're going to start selecting the 320 meter stations by default. And if we just well, trying to find a nice flat area for this is a little challenging because of the length of it, but I think we can pop our station there, connect it in to the road system just outside of the oil well, just with a basic simple connection like that. That makes sure that they have interchangeability between the two of them. Just blending the terrain around the edges of the station, and we'll just rename this to the Athens Oil Fields. I'm going plural there because, as we know, we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 in the nearby area, and like we've done with our forests up by New Haven, we'll probably stick with one station that services all 4 of these, and the remaining 3, the outlying 3, we'd bring in any oil that they're producing with some trucks as and when we determine that we need to do that. For now I think just one is going to be more than enough. So the next thing we want to do is take a nice straight track and head this sort of way up here so we can connect into that stone line that we have going into the quarry by Chandler. Now the good thing is we have a lot of open spaces here. We are obviously quite close to the river's edge, so the terrain is going to be pretty nice to work with around here. And what we'll do is, just before this becomes a passing loop here, we'll connect these 2 lines together like that. How's the overlap looking? It looks pretty good to me, so we'll accept that. Once we're finished, we will put a couple of passing loops down here, of course, because otherwise our trains are going to be waiting back here and they will block in any other trains destined for Chandler while the train down here is loading, or while the train is occupying this long block. So we would need to block this up. That's not a problem. We can do that, like I said, a little later. So the next thing we want to do is determine where's the best point to break off and head down here towards the refinery at Fort Lauderdale. Now, down here the terrain does start to rise up quite a lot. As we can see, it's very, very elevated up here as we head towards this canyon. But I think we'll be able to get away with this, and we should be able to do something with it. So I think the best part, or the best choice here, is if we give ourselves a junction in this area. Now we might have to do some tunnel work here, but we're going to keep this flat, at least initially. There we go. And this is the time where we're going to allow the game to give us an elevated track. Now, thanks to the realistic train, or the realistic rail slope mod, we are limited to a 3% gradient. So as I've mentioned previously when dealing with gradients, you're going to have to disregard this. I know we are all accustomed to just gauging our gradient by the arrow and what angle this arrow is pointing at. So when it's straight up at 90 degrees, you think you've got a really steep gradient, but as we know, it's only 3%, which is not too bad at all. So 3% our trains can manage with. I think that would be classed as, at worst, a medium gradient, even though it looks like it would be high. I'm fairly certain that the mod doesn't change how or what height, what slopes, what percentage gradient the game classes low, medium, and high. If you know what I mean. I don't think it's not relative. Okay, I was going to see if we could maybe have a cutting at this point, but clearly that's not an option. So let's continue with the tunnel. But I think maybe at this point we can get away with reverting to a cutting. Yeah, it looks a bit ridiculous, but we can blend it out a little bit later. So we said we want to head down here and just squeeze between this ridge line here and this farm. So that's what we'll do. So we're starting to drop back down again, as we can see. We're going from 58 meters to 50 meters, which is, it's only 8 meters, isn't it? It's not too much of a gradient change. And oh, look at that, we've actually been given a bridge at one point here. Probably don't need that. Right, so let's continue this. So yeah, we'll take it to a 10-meter drop. And there we go. 10 meters over 1,000 meters is not too bad at all. And nice and simple here, hopefully. We just run down here. We want to make sure we want to leave a decent amount of space here by this farm, because at some point we might need to use it. We are back to a bridge here, but I think given the height of the bridge, we're going to have to accept that. So we've got a little bridge as we jump from this raised elevated bit of land here over to the side of this ridge line. And I've aimed for this ridge line because if we went any further this way, we're just going to have a bridge that's far too long. So what we'll do is we'll set this to the maximum drop off 3%, because of course we are aiming to head down into this shallow area here. So another bridge here, which again I'm not too offended by that. We can go with that. Well, yeah, we'll have the tunnel there because the terrain changes just looked a little bit odd. How far can we stretch out here? We'll go to there. Okay, which way we want to be heading into down here, don't we? What height are we at down here? Oh, basically 0 with the looks of it. No, that can't be 0, can it? Ah, well. So we're going to have a bridge here as we come down from the elevated terrain that we've just had to navigate. And I think if we go as far, shall we say, as that with our bridge, because we don't want this bridge to be overlong. And as you see here, we are getting a bit close to the terrain height. So let's bring this bridge back to about there. And then we'll set this to be raised terrain, which again, we will blend in ourselves with the terrain modification tools a little bit later on. But we've managed to get pretty low to the ground now, and I think we can probably get away with just allowing the game to determine the angle and the slope of our track. So now we need to snake through this bit here, so we are going to lose speed on some of these corners here. It's inevitable, but that's okay. And if we can get 50 miles an hour on the corner, that will be very nice indeed. And if we can do something similar as we round this next cliff edge here, 65, can we get up to 70 in fact, even better. So yeah, we don't lose that much speed though. 50 miles an hour on the first corner, 70 on the second, very nice indeed. So now we're getting close to where our refinery is located. So we'll leave the track there for the moment and we'll build ourselves our cargo station here. And where do we want to say we'll have it? Let's put it flush with the road, and it does mean we're going to have to curve a little sharply here as we approach the station. But that's not too much of a problem. In fact, we can do it without losing any speed anyway. So everybody is happy except that. So now we have a way to get the crude oil down into the refinery, which is fantastic. Obviously we do still have to put in our passing loops for all of this, but we'll do that at the very end before we start our trains up and running. And what we're going to do now is take a line that departs this way, and let's see if we can get this with a decent overlap here. And I think that's pretty good, because if we look at where this the fuel refinery is located, it is on the river's edge, so it's going to be very, very low in terms of its terrain height, probably at ground level. And we've gone to -18, so we don't want to go that far down. In fact, we probably want to stay pretty flat and true, or pretty straight at this point. How deep are we at this point? Yeah, we're probably going to have to use a tunnel here. Although I think if we maybe come this way, we can shorten the tunnel length. If we go back to about there, and then come out, yep, we've shortened the tunnel length, so we don't have a tunnel that's overlong. We can come through this way here, and again, I'm just allowing the game to determine the slope and the gradient of our track here. Another tunnel there is fine. And what we're going to do now is simply curve around this way, maybe head in for this space here, because getting the station in on this point will be pretty tricky, whereas here we've got a lot more space to work with, so that's what we're aiming for here. So right about there should do. And now once again we'll go back here, and if we can get in a station here, yes, it's going to be awful with the terrain, but we should be able to smooth it all out again at the end, like that. Yeah, that just looks horrendously unnatural, but we can sort that out, I'm sure. And then run out a track to where the line awaits. So we go straight into a tunnel there. I'm going to remove that because obviously we know we're going to blend this out anyway. So we wouldn't need a tunnel once we've done the terrain modifications down here. And in fact, I'll just take a few moments at this point to blend this bit out. Okay, so there we go. Just push the terrain back. We have this little undulating ridge down here, which we might be able to get rid of very quickly. Yeah, there we go. Because that just looked a little bit odd, didn't it? Nah, yeah, that's better. So we're going to come into this station, drop off the refined oil, obviously pick up some fuel oil, and then we're going to come out this way, so we don't flip at this station, we go straight through. Just pull that back just a fraction. And basically, we want to turn this way now, have a bridge over this river, and then connect in to that, or join the network in some capacity by the Bellevue tool factory. So is the river still open to shipping down here? Yes, it is. I'm not sure if I like the elongated bridge from there to there though. So what we might have to do is pull it back. In fact, what height? In fact, why don't we just tell the game to stay at... If we go to that height, that should be high enough for ships to pass under when we come to build the bridge. But rather than have a bridge here, we'll have earthworks instead. Like that. Then span over the river. And at this point, if we... In fact, let's pull this back just to the other shoreline, like, say that. And if we keep that at a constant height, yep, the river is still open to shipping, so we will accept that. And then at this point, allow the game to determine the gradient slope. Switch back to earthworks. You're not going to be able, you're not going to like that because of this road here. Well, we can temporarily remove that road because it's not a main city connection, so nobody's going to complain about the missing road. Get in our train line with the earthworks, and then reconnect that road together just for completion's sake. And will you let us get a tunnel under there? Yeah, if we arch it a little bit. Yeah, we'll go for that, that's fine. It's not an actively used road at all. And we can maybe just rework the terrain around here at some point just to make it look a little bit more reasonable, because that just does not look reasonable at the moment, but we can live with it temporarily and address it a little bit later. So for now, if we just connect into that station there, we might have some waiting while the trains are unloading and loading at the Bellevue Tools factory. And then we'll pass down this way. We shall take this line here, so we might want to put an extra block or two on this stretch. We'll pass this way, down here. We will then pass through the city of New Haven. And what we want to do now is if we use this platform to pass through on platform, I guess this is number 3 or whatever, this one here anyway. We have a track that ends quite abruptly just here. But what we can do is we can hopefully get it to come over here. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, what we might have to do is come this way. Yeah, you're saying too much slope there. I think it's because it's just trying to do something strange when it comes to getting over this track here. Whoops, did not mean to click that. Let's just refund and delete that. And let's see here. So what train comes down this way? It's the tool train that heads to Haywood. Okay, well, let me think about this then. what we could do... How's the height differentials here? Well, I think we might be able... Let's just see if we can do it. It might be a little bit slow. Can we snap in? Yes, we can. And it's quite a sharp climb. Well, that's okay. At least we're now at the height of everything else in this area. And then we want to just come over the top of this line here. How are the overlaps? That's the question. That's a little ugly, so I think if we just fine-tune this height adjustment, we should be able to get that looking a little smoother. Oh no, it didn't like that, and now it's decided it's colliding all together. Well, I think that might be the best we're going to get, unfortunately. Let's see. Oh no, that's looking... That's better. We'll take that. And then what we want to do is connect in to this line. And if we can get it pretty straight, that'll be nice, which we can. Let's see, how's the height there? Not the best. If we just bump it up a little bit, that's better. Like so. So passing through and over. Obviously we'll have to do an additional couple of tracks here for the return leg. And in fact what we can probably do, hopefully, is take a line, say to there, and then double track this bit. It's going to be a little bit funny, is it? There we go, we've got it. We've convinced it. Come over here. Wonderful. Going well so far. Overlaps are good. Yep, they're good. And let's take you to there and bring you out like that. There we go. So then we're going to come up here, share this, and then what we'll do is at this point here, we'll take another track this way, and we'll basically keep this like, is that running straight? I'm having to use shift here just to avoid it snapping into the track there, but I want to keep them pretty parallel at this point. I think that's good. Again, try and get that nice and straight. I think that'll do. I think it's good enough. Yeah, that's fine. And now we've passed the station, we're going to come this way with a view to connecting into our passenger line that we have right here, albeit temporarily. Maybe like that. Yes, okay. But what we probably also want to do here is give these trains a way for them to return, and I might allow them to return through the station on their way back. So they might have to wait while they're empty, but when they've got all that sweet delicious fuel on them that we want to make money off of, they don't have to wait because they can pass straight on through. So that's fine. So then they'll come down here, they will be on this track like everything else, and then they can just head down there and go the wrong way. No, they don't go that way. They come down here, don't they? Of course they do. Down here, all this is shared, and then they go and do their own thing there. Okay, so now we're on the passenger line. We don't want to be on there forever. And in fact, we're going to share for quite a distance, I think, which is fine. But what we'll do here is just after this signal is take a line that breaks away, say like that, and connects into that, not that one, into this one just here. That takes us into the cargo platform. Great. And then what we will do, I think we could probably get away with this bit. No, we don't need it. We need to double track it because we're coming into a double track stretch. Can we do this? Doesn't look like it. Let's try it again, but from the opposite direction. See if we can convince it. No. That's unfortunate because that would work quite nicely, but it doesn't want to know. Right, so let's think about this. Well, I think maybe we just come in a little... Yeah, here we go. Here we go. They'll have to come in that way, which is fine. And let's just have it come in, not like that. There. So they come back this way on the right hand track, cross over onto the appropriate track with the passenger lines, shared, all down here, down this single track, and then we'll break away this way. Yep, that's fine. So this is, yep, this is all good. This is fine. Around this corner, separate directions here. And in fact, let's just make that abundantly clear now as well. In fact, let's go back to Knoxville and we'll start putting the signals in from this point. So we're going to want a one-way signal there. We'll put one there as well. And then we have signals on this bit. And we have signals all the way down here, which is fine. We want a signal just there. And let's put a clearing signal there, so we're not occupying this block too long. And we'll put another set of signals just here. All this is going to be one way, if you remember, so that's fine. Let's get one just there so we can wait by the station platform if this track here is occupied, which is likely to be since we're unloading at this point. Well, other trains are unloading. And then we don't want to block this bit because this is two-way. But we can put some blocks down here. And then, yeah, we can just use the existing blocks on this bit. Maybe put one more in, actually. Let's put a couple extra blocks in for all of our services on this little bit here, like that. So yeah, then we're coming down here. This is where we head into separate tracks once again. So we'll put a block there. We'll put one there as well. Do we want to put one there? Because that could block in these lines here while they're waiting to get through the platform. Well, we'll see what happens with it. If it happens too frequently, then we can rethink that. And then here, we'll be sharing these two tracks with our existing services before heading down. So on the way back, they're going to have to come this way because this is one way. So we might have delays at this station here. So what we can do, hopefully what we can do, is have a little junction here. A little bit slow, but that's okay. Run parallel with the station track. Just run it forwards just a fraction. And then bring them back together down here. Like that and like that. Maybe with no, probably can't squeeze another block in there. So yeah, the Bellevue tool train has all automatically rerouted down that new track, which is absolutely fine. Obviously the fuel train will come down here as well when they're making their return journey. So this is all blocked up. Yep, that's fine. That's all good. This is now quite a long block and it could end up being fairly busy, so what we'll do is something similar. We'll take another junction off here, get this at high speed. Yep, 75. This will be one way, and then just before the bridge another junction to merge them back together. So if we one-way signal that there, maybe put one there. No, it's too close. So this left-hand track is still two-directional. The right-hand track that we've just laid in is one-way, so the oil trains on their return don't have to wait. Obviously on their way in they might have to wait, but we can accept that. We can live with that. I'll just take another few moments here and just see about blending this terrain in. Alright, so I've blended that a little. I might rework this off camera because that bit there is a little bit ugly. So I'll see what we can do with that off camera, but for now it's fine. It's workable. It's not going to cause any problems. So we'll have this single track here over the bridge, over the river. And then we come to this bit, and now we'll start to double track once again, I think. And what we'll do is we'll have a junction on the inside this time, like this. With a view to the trains that are heading up towards Knoxville will use this line. Don't play silly buggers. There we go. And the returning trains will come on the outside. Let's put a signal there and there. Well, let's get a midpoint block as well on this one. There and there. And again, just give me a few moments here and I'll just start smoothing this out just to hide some of the worst of the terrain artifacts that we've generated. Alright, so that will do. I'll tidy it all up a bit further off camera, but for now it's fine. So then, yep, we'll pass through here single track at the platform. Might have to wait a little bit if a train's loading, but that's fine. When they're running back, it doesn't really matter because they're empty anyway. And then we'll put a passing loop on this little stretch here where it's fairly straight. What are you doing there? Like this, and again let's get our signals in place straight away. No midpoint block on that one because it's fairly short. We'll have single track around here up to, yeah, in fact all that can be single track because we're not going to run hundreds of trains down here, and because it's going to be a very long journey for them, I think we can get away with having large stretches of single track without impacting too negatively on the rates of the trains. But we'll have a decent passing loop here, a very decent one with the looks of it because I can't stop myself. And here we'll come back together. Here we will put our signals once again, and because it's a very long one we can afford some midpoint blocks at this point. In fact, there's something else we need to do it's just occurred to me, which I'll do in a moment. But yeah, we'll have a couple of blocks down here. Right, what we need is when they're returning, they don't need to return down here, do they? We need them to head back to the Athens oil wells. So what we'll do, if we can do it nicely, is connect these two together. And hopefully we can do it with a nice looking overlap between everything, and it looks like we can. So that's great, perfect. So this bit here will be one way because they're only using this when they're heading back to the oil wells. So let's give them a couple of blocks there, which also means that this bit here will be one way as well. So let's give them a couple of blocks down here. This bit here will also be one way. Let's give them a signal there. This bit will be two way because they could be coming down into the oil refinery, sorry, and then heading back out of the oil refinery up this way. So that's why we've got an elongated passing loop here. This bit is fine, and then we'll single track the bridge and the tunnel and this bridge and this bridge, but we will double track immediately after this bridge here. So let's get full speed 75, and we'll give them an elongated passing loop here. Where are we headed to? Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll double track as far as this tunnel entrance. There we go. Let's get our signals in place on this new stretch of track here. So we'll go there and there for our endpoint blocks, and I think we could probably squeeze in 2 mid blocks at this on this bit here. So we'll put one there, and we'll have one around about there as well. Wonderful. So single track all through the tunnel. This bit's already done for us, but we will double track this bit as we approach the Athens oil wells once again. Maybe down to there, and then rejoin in just there on the corner. Signal, and yes, midpoint block. There we go. And I think that will do for now. So let's see if we can get the line set up. So new line, colour, we'll go for orange because the final product is fuel. Athens oil well, we want it to be fully loaded at all times. And then you're coming into the refinery here. Yeah, you can't get back, but that's fine because you won't be going back. Here you're going to unload crude and load refined. We'll say full load all with a maximum stop time of 3 minutes. It's a 2-to-1 ratio, so they won't be able to get a full load, but they can get at most 50%. So we'll do that. And then you're heading all the way... Oh no, not we've missed a stop. Then you're heading here. And again, full load, 3 minute stop time max. And you're loading fuel, unloading the refined. And then after Bellevue South, all the way up to Knoxville. And you're doing what we wanted you to do here. We'll make sure you're doing everything else correct, so that's all fine, yep. Sharing with the passenger line here before deviating down here. What's this brown train? What's coming this way now? I don't understand. We'll check that in a moment. And then, yep, that's what you should be doing there. Yep, that's fine. Haha, here we want you to do something different. So on your way back, you're going this way. And on your way in, you're going this way. Yep, so now you're doing what we hoped you would do. Yep, that's fine. Why are you going that way back to... I mean, you can do it. But the idea was you would come back down this way. That's right. So, yep, now that's better. So back down this way. Yep, you're taking the bypass there. And then we know from here on out, or we should know, that everything is tickety-boo. Yep, you're going back that way. And then all the way back to the Athens oil wells. Perfect. So let's just give this a name. So RC. And this is fuel. And this is, shall we say, Athens. So ATH, Athens. Athens, that's better. Athens to KNXV, Knoxville. Okay, wonderful. Close that. So we should be ready to go in terms of getting our trains on the lines. So what depot is going to be best to use here? can we use this one? Well, I'll tell you what, we may as well give them a depot down this side of the map. And we'll put the depot here. So let's give ourselves a station, a depot building. We'll just randomly assign it there and bring it in just there. Okay, let's give them a one-way signal just there. Let's see about getting the train. So locomotives, which do we want to use? Could try a double-headed mogul and see what it does. Cargo, we're only using tank cars for this one. So what's that? That's not bad. Let's get 2 of them for now and assign them on the line. Bearing in mind, of course, Knoxville isn't calling for that much fuel because it is a tertiary good. So the demand is quite reduced compared to the primary and secondary goods that they're asking for. So we should see oil being popped onto the station, and indeed we have. Wonderful. Right, I think that's a good enough place to end this episode. It's been a bit longer than usual, but once I've edited out some of the terrain modifications, it should bring it back to a more manageable level, hopefully. Right, so obviously the ideal one to take a ride on today is the new fuel train, so we shall do just that. Oh, before we do, let's quickly pause it. I wanted to investigate what was going off with this. Where is it? Is it this one here? Yeah, you're now heading back down there, and I don't know why you're doing that. So you're this one, aren't you? Yes, you are. So after you've gone to the machinery factory, you want to come back this way. There we go. So we might have a few errant trains running around for a little while, but they should sort themselves out over time. Okay, so we got the train approaching the station at Athens. What we'll do, the date's paused, we'll accelerate it till we get there. We're not going to wait for a full load unless we're getting close already, which I don't think we will be. 42. 140. No, we'll send him on its way empty-ish. In fact, what we can do is that's we now going to Fort Lauderdale. So we'll hop on board, put it back down to 1x speed. We probably won't do the full journey because it would take far too long to head all the way up to Knoxville, but we can do at least some of the journey anyway. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode and you are continuing to enjoy the series overall. As always, comments, feedback and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated down in the comments section down below or over on Discord itself. Special thanks to Kylie Brooks and William Smith for their pledges on Patreon. Absolutely fantastic gestures, and thank you very much indeed, and a big shout out to you. But for now, all that remains for me to say is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.